conference, or conferences, that the Honourable Prime Minister, Mr. Frank Bainimarama, his speech, he in fact was unable to be here, probably for the same reason, the kind of cold that I've got. But he was unable to be here, but his speech was read, as you recall, by the Attorney General. And I remember in his opening remarks, the Prime Minister said that you have the power, talking to the media, you have the power through the camera, keyboard and microphone to tell stories. And I think that's what the conversation has been about. Pacific voices, Pacific stories, engaging audiences and making content. And certainly in that last EPOP session, we saw how the fantastic variety of voices of the elders, and there they were, producing the content and making it. Then the Honourable Minister of Agriculture said in his opening presentation a couple of days ago, he said, we must change from a culture of reaction to a culture of prevention. And I think that's been one of our guiding words, guiding commentary over the last couple of days. And this EPOP presentation we saw a few moments ago, the Pacific Youth Dialogue, once again, some really interesting and good anecdotes and comments came out of there. That New Caledonian elder, Kanaki, who said, will we be able to live in this environment? So certainly the elders are as concerned as we are in this room. And Herman gave us that wonderful line, which I think is a great one for media usage. By the year 2050, there'll be more plastic in the ocean than fish. I mean, it's terrifying commentary, isn't it? Terrifying, but there we are. If it's true and if it comes true, what can we say about the future of the oceans? Which I think all of these things exemplify the importance of what we've been talking about over the last several days, the various discussions. We've moved between media and environment and disasters and climate change and risk reduction, and there have been just so many things we've been able to talk about. But it's important at the end of a conversation like this to come up with some kind of plan, which is, as you see, is called the Fiji Action Plan. And the word action in there means that there should be something in the plan which says, let's have some action. So I thought that we would, if we could put it up on the screen, thank you very much, and just have a look at it. I think you've had a chance to see it yourself. Just to let you know how it came about, it's a combination of a wide variety of human minds working together. It's not the work of any single person at all. It's evolved from some of the other dialogue that we've held, ABU has held over the years. And this has all come together. We've the host nation, Fiji, has had a look at it too on several occasions. It's been distributed to you, so you could make comments and if you wanted to say anything. In the preamble, we basically talk about the previous, we thank, of course, the hosts who've been so gracious, the Fiji Broadcasting Corporation Limited, and I'm wearing their uniform today. As you can see, I especially put it on for the closing ceremony. I've got black, and I've got blue, and I've got silver on the watch. So they were the three colors we had to wear, so I thought it only appropriate. And I've got my shells, which were given to us when we arrived at the airport. I'm not sure whether you've got some too, but they're delightful. So we certainly thank Fiji Broadcasting Corporation Limited, Fiji Television Limited, the government who've provided this fantastic facilities. I know that our Secretary General, Javed Matagi, will be doing more in-depth thanks in just a few minutes. So we thank them for initiating this important event. We recognize the outcomes of the previous conferences, and we have people here from those conferences. From Bangladesh last year, we have people from the Bangladesh radio and television. Thank you for coming all this way, and we really enjoyed our time in Dhaka, particularly the cruise on the river, which was very, very exciting. And Thailand before that, Japan before that, Indonesia, and so forth. So we recall these ones. We recall the major commitments made across the world, the Paris Agreement, which was mentioned in the EPOP and so forth, and of course, COP23, and Fiji being the president of that at the moment. And we also remember the ABU Pacific Media Partnership Conferences, the PMPCs, previously held in Tonga and Samoa, in Vanuatu and Fiji. Samoa again, and Papua New Guinea, and last year in Solomon Islands. And they've made some valuable contributions to the development of broadcasting in the Pacific. Then we thought we'd look at briefly at the background. We state the obvious, I guess. As I mentioned right at the start, in session 1 a couple of days ago, people in, for example, the Carteret Islands, and that was mentioned again in EPOP there, who are leaving. Then you saw for yourself the other commentary we made about the ancestors, the graves now under seawater. And once the seawater invades the graves, then, of course, the ancestral history is gone and family members gone and forgotten. Climate change, of course, is affecting soil salinity, and this has been pointed out particularly in the EPOP sessions, that the groundwater is becoming contaminated, which means all the crops like taro and so forth can't be used. We're also mentioning in here about the role that the media has to play. I don't need to tell you, as fellow media professionals and broadcasters. We also highlighted the fact that the ABU can play a vital role in building the capacity of broadcasting institutions, as they have been doing for many, many years. And as we've heard here, they're willing, the Secretary General said they're willing to assist in all sorts of ways. We also note that the Pacific nations have been powerful advocates on the global stage for this urgent action that's required. So we move to the commitment, which is the key bits, I guess. We note that it's a valuable space here for professional broadcasters to come together with others from the scientific community, from the NGO community, and so forth, to share ideas, exchanges, to learn from each other. I mean, I think one thing that came to me through this conference is that the non-media people now have a better idea of what the media requires. And that one of the queries that was brought up a lot by media people was, why aren't the scientists, the Met officers and so forth working with us more and telling us more so that we can help to educate them too. We can train them in communication so that they know how better to communicate these often rather complex but important aspects of climate change and DRR. So following 3 days, we mentioned a rich, meaningful and collegial dialogue, indeed very collegial, thank you for that. We're calling upon fellow broadcasters who are not here, but those from the region who would have been here if they could have been, to reinforce their commitment to the agenda of everything we've been discussing, requesting that the radio and TV stations in the region might like to look at the Fiji government social media channels. They're very active there. There's a couple of hashtags for COP23 and so forth, Instagram, Facebook, and everything like that. We highlight the need in our second point, the need for the Asia-Pacific region to achieve the Paris Agreement's most ambitious target, which is, of course, limiting the rise in global temperature. This is going to have such compelling effects on the world. Thirdly, we will continue our work as broadcasters. If you're in a broadcasting organization, if you're a journalist or a content producer, we continue to work to ensure that our organizations produce really compelling informational, educational material that can be understood by people too, to highlight the best practices and address new challenges. Then we move on to the next point. We'll advocate for effective non-broadcast electronic communication resources, such as mobile phone technology applications, to be developed in our countries. Just to clarify that point, the point being that broadcasters can often produce apps, but we do need to encourage the national telecoms to carry the material so that they can use the new technology to reach everyone very quickly. Gender and diversity plan, you saw that this morning with Chrissy and the team. So we undertake to establish a plan in our own organizations so that we can carry forward the Women with the Wave conference, which was held in Chengdu and will again be held at the next ABU General Assembly. We recognize, next point, the need for vulnerable citizens in our societies to received to be provided with news, information, and programming tailored to their distinct media consumption needs. And when we talk about that, we're thinking of some people maybe have one radio in an entire village. They wouldn't have a television set. Maybe people have mobile phones. And don't forget, to the point I was trying to make the other day about languages, that the use of mobile technology particularly gives us a chance to go into other languages which the national carrier may not want to broadcast in, therefore reaching people who really need the information and who only understand their local talk place, their local language. We ask then, because this is an action plan, we request the ABU to develop with donor funding from the UN to implement and other sources of multilateral, bilateral. If you're involved in the government or a development bank or something that can help out on this one, it'd be very much appreciated. A region-wide, excuse me, a region-wide training project to carry out some of those tasks which were requested in the conversation, particularly today, when people asked, what do you particularly need? And many people said that they wanted in-country training courses. And you know, to be able to come into town and run a one-day seminar or a half-day seminar for senior people too, not just the broadcasters, not just the junior broadcasters, the content producers and the journalists, but also the senior management. So they also are involved. So we ask that a major project for the region be developed, thus helping all media people to address relevant matters in their daily working environment. We'll review and implement support and training for media employees, especially women, with this positive work environment, safety provisions and career development. That was discussed very much this morning, and we are very pleased to hear that some organizations like the SRBC, I think 50-50 balance, Fiji Broadcasting Corporation, 40-60, and so forth. So everyone's moving towards this goal. And finally, we invite the hosts to place this plan that we've been talking about before UN bodies. Hopefully, because they're COP23, they'll have very high-level influence in getting this onto the world agenda. We'll pass it on ourselves, I'm sure, to various donor agencies, development banks, and so forth. So that the voices of the small Pacific nations are heard by international institutions. Then we invite you finally to gather again in 2019 for the 5th ABU Media Summit on Climate Change and Disaster Risk Reduction. And if you'd like to come to the PMPC, the Pacific Media Partnership Conference, the next one, the 10th, will be held in Samoa. Are there any specific comments that people have without making too many changes and adding commas and full stops and so forth? Nothing in particular. We're not trying to force this upon you. I hope it's a democratic kind of, well, like a guided democracy, I think we'll call it today. But thank you very much indeed. We can thus say that the Fiji Action Plan is adopted. Thank you very much.
Who says we can't be efficient at the end of the day? So all that is left now is to ask our Secretary General to, on behalf of the ABU, to say a few words at the end, to thank the participants and all of you for your thoughts and your contribution, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for adopting the Fiji Action Plan. I request my colleague Hagwan to circulate this note to Nanda to immediately put it on the website of ABU. And also I request Geraldine to communicate with all colleagues, requesting all of you to put this Fiji Action in your websites today so that we can move the action plan forward. I have to say a few words here, and mainly I have to take this opportunity to thank the host, in particular Mr. Khayoum, Attorney General and Minister of Communication, for the wonderful job that he did, for the warm hospitality that Minister Qayyum and his able team rendered to all of us here. And I'd like to invite you to join me in thanking Qayyum and his good team. My thanks also goes to Farid, Fiji TV, and Riyadh, my colleagues in FPC, and also to Topu, our hardworking colleague in the ministry, for the good work that they have done in co-hosting this summit. I have to thank all technical colleagues who are there, and they have done a great job, and it would have been impossible to work here so smoothly without your support. Thank you very much. In particular, I should thank all the speakers, all chairpersons, all of you for your contribution. The credit for the success of the event goes to all of you for your partnership, and also to sponsors for supporting us. So thanks to speakers, moderators, and all participants. In the secretariat of ABU, usually colleagues in membership, they don't know how much work my colleagues will put in delivering such an event. The ABU is delivering 110 major projects like these 2 projects here per year. A lot of work with a limited number of colleagues in the secretariat. Only we have 37. And I have to take this opportunity to sincerely thank all my colleagues who did a great job in working for a few months before coming to Fiji to make this event successful. From there, Nadim, Natalia, Olia, Amal, Geraldine in particular, and I should not forget Hagwan. I hope I did not forget anyone. And all those who have worked. We have an agreement within the Secretariat that they all work, and not the Secretary General. Secretary General just talks and walks, others work. Okay, so we have come to conclusion, and we have action plan. This is a good achievement, but this is just beginning. And in order to put these actions in practice, I call upon partnership among members, and partnership among partners. All partners from UN and NGOs and individual regional international partners who are committed to the aims and goals of Fiji Action Plan to really contribute. I have to admit that we have to encourage some of the UN organizations to be more active, and we will do that, and we will communicate with them, and we expect them to really be active again in the fields that they used to be active. And we see these days not many support or partnership from them. But the first point I want to put here is that I call upon all partners, regional and international partners, to shake hand and let's work together to deliver what we have committed. I'm happy to see that the Pacific Islands, the broadcasters, are not only fully integrated in the ABU, Asia-Pacific region, but also are fully actively involved in running the union. And this is, for me, much more important. You are the one who are not only involved, but also running several activities, and this is one of them. And you have noticed that Fiji will be hosting Robocon, and General Assembly or Samoa will be hosting next Pacific Partnership Conference for the second time in Samoa. So this is the result of the work, the teamwork that we have done to involve and integrate the Pacific Islands, and I'm honestly very happy to see that here. And needless to say that ABU is committed, fully committed to continue helping, to continue media development and in the Pacific, and to continue working for development of media and also for social development through media in the Pacific Islands. This is our goal. And I was talking to the Minister of Agriculture last night, and he said that this conference was very timely, and he told me that he has immediately invited media and broadcasters in Fiji to come on board and participate in all teams and the groups that he has formed or the government has formed. So as a politician, as a policymaker, he noticed the strength of the broadcasters, the strength of media, and this is positive. And also I've heard from many colleagues that they told me that they are going to specifically establish a unit within the organizational chart of broadcasters to deal with disaster risk reduction, to deal with climate change. We have seen in almost all broadcasters that they have commentator, for instance, in sports, commentator in certain things, but hardly we have seen specialists and professionals in such area or in gender area or other area that are very much important for development. Some of our colleagues told me that they are going to establish that unit in their organizational chart and train the broadcasters, the news reporters and producers to strengthen that unit. We are prepared to help you. It's good to have a sports commentator, but equally it's important to have such professionals who really can convey the message to save lives. ABU will continue offering, as Martin said, in-country advisory services, in-country workshops. I very much believe in in-country services. And my last 20 years of specifically concentrating on capacity building says that regional events important, international events important, but in-country events more effective because the consultant goes somewhere and talk and interact with 15, 20 people within the organization and work with them attached to that organization. So we have seen this is much more effective. So as I said yesterday, we are prepared to support you and do not hesitate to write to us in that sense. I have seen also children's involvement yesterday, and I'm happy this was a positive aspects of our summit, and we are prepared to support that movement also. There were suggestions about archives and library and things like that related to this movement. We definitely look into that, and my colleagues in technical department are also working on that. Martin mentioned about the power of media, and yesterday NHK colleagues told us that they believe, and we believe in the strength of broadcasters. This is something that I have to echo, I have to share, that we really believe in the strength of broadcasters. We really believe in the power of you, because you have the command of broadcasters and radio and television. And I have to say that we have to believe in the capacity of the union, your union, and the huge capacity that ABU has. ABU capacity is not limited to 37 colleagues who are working around the clock in the secretariat in Kuala Lumpur. The capacity of ABU is the total capacity of 270 members and partners and even sister unions that are prepared to support. So this capacity is like an ocean. And I always tell my colleagues in the Secretariat that we didn't touch that capacity. We just, touch a drop of that ocean. We have to activate. You have to activate, and you have to partner, as it was rightly mentioned, by coming to the meeting and working together with ABU, benefiting from the capacity of your union and to work together with you. The ABU, my last word, is you. ABU belongs to you. And you are the owner of the ABU. You are the shareholders of ABU, and we are looking after that on your behalf. And I'm happy that the ABU is service-oriented, a member-oriented, and a forward-looking organization, and with you, will take it forward. I thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in Samoa and other places. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Javad. So one announcement and one housekeeping announcement. So I will not ask Faisea to come up again because she's exhausted. She told me she's not standing up again. But she is inviting you all to join us next year in Samoa. And we will have a fantastic program worked out. And by the end of this day, we'll know the dates and all sorts of things. So I promise we will have a great program for you, and we hope to see all of you. And the last thing is that our hosts have organized a Bula bus at 7 p.m. for anybody who's staying here who would like to go to, where are we going? A bus will take us somewhere nice. And you can have a look around, you can do a little bit of shopping and come back. So I think it's the marina, yeah? So if you're interested, it's 7 o'clock, the bus will be outside. For those of you who would like to rest, by all means, you're basically allowed to do what you like now. So thank you very much, and see you in Samoa.
Hope is gone. Just run into my arms. I'm only one.